G'day guys, how's it going? Today we're here with this, the new Volkswagen T-Cross. It's recently been facelifted. As you can tell, it's had a bit of a glow up. And this is one of the new colors, the metallic blue. But it's not just been facelifted, it's also gone up in price. And for that, you get quite a few changes, not just on the exterior, but also on the interior. So today I'm going to be taking you through all of the exterior, interior changes. We're going to be going through how this thing drives. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be launching it because if you know Brisbane, you know that there's probably not a single flat stretch of road within 100 kilometers. And then I'm going to end on my final thoughts. Should you buy the updated Volkswagen T-Cross? Without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so let's start off with the new price. So like I said, it has gone up in price between $3,000 and $5,000 across the range. So the range actually kicks off with the life trim, which goes for $34,990 drive away. What we have here is the style trim, which is the middle of the range, and that goes for $39,990 drive away. And then you have the R-Line spec, which has gone up the most, about $4,900 price increase, and that goes now for $40,990 drive away. So let's take a look at what we have here, which is the style trim, the middle of the range. Probably the first thing you'll notice up at the front are these new Touareg inspired LED light strips. And actually LED lighting is now standard across the range. You do get it in the life trim. However, these ones are matrix LEDs, which means they will auto dim oncoming vehicles, which is a very cool feature. You will notice that the bumper has been slightly revised with a new silver guard down the bottom. And apart from that, it looks pretty similar to the last generation, apart from the new color, of course. Another thing to note about the front is the new radar. Adaptive cruise control is actually now standard across the range, and that is one of the big upgrades for this new T-Cross. So even in the base life spec, you will now get Volkswagen's Travel Assist, which is an awesome new feature. But that's pretty much it for the front of the car. Let's take a look at the side. Alrighty guys, so let's take a look at the side of the updated T-Cross. And as you can see, it's actually a pretty small car coming in at just over 4.1 meters. But that also makes it pretty fun to drive, as we'll find out later. So here on the mid-spec style trim, you actually get 17-inch alloy wheels. On the life spec, which is the base spec, you get 16-inch alloy wheels, and on the top R-Line, you get 18-inch alloy wheels. I didn't find that the wheel size affected the driving dynamics that much, but what did affect it was the fact that you get Gitty tires on the base model, whereas on this one, you get upgraded Hankook tires, which definitely performed quite a bit better. Another cool new feature of the T-Cross is when you do use the keyless entry, you actually get a cool lights display on the ground. So that's pretty cool, something that's often reserved for like Audis and Mercedes, so it's cool that you get it here in this Volkswagen T-Cross. Like I said, you do get keyless entry and go on the style trim and above. The base life model gets the manual key, completely fine though. You do get these pretty nice silver racks at the top, and on the base spec you get black ones. Unfortunately, no privacy glass in the rear, which is a little bit of a shame. At least on the style trim, I would have expected to see that. But apart from that, yeah, it's just a micro crossover SUV with 4 wheels and 4 corners. What more can you want? Let's take a look at the rear. Alrighty guys, now coming to the rear, which is actually probably one of my favorite angles of the new T-Cross. So on the style trim and above, you get this really cool new LED light strip that runs across the rear and a cool new LED light signature. You don't get that on the life trim, unfortunately. You have your Volkswagen badge proudly displayed in the middle there. Unfortunately, it's not your boot release like it is in other models, but that's just down here, but we'll get back to that. And you have T-Cross spelt out proudly in the center there, like so. You can also see at the back here, you have your 5-year unlimited kilometer warranty printed out there. That is going to be one of the differences between this and its very close relative, the Skoda Kamiq, which comes with a 7-year unlimited kilometer warranty. You also have a pretty SUV-like bumper down the bottom, not much to report there, but let's check out how much it can fit in its bum. Unfortunately, no powered tailgate across the range, but check this out. You actually get a pretty much segment leading amount of boot space. So with the second row in place, you actually get 455 liters of boot space, and it's a very usable amount of space as well. That is pretty much segment leading. It beats things like the Yaris Cross, the new Honda HR-V, and it pretty much destroys the Kia Seltos. So very impressive packaging for the new T-Cross. And you can also drop the rear seats completely flat, revealing 1,281 liters of boot space. So that's very impressive. You're not gonna have any issues in terms of practicality with this car. All right, let's check out the interior. Alrighty guys, so coming onto the new updated interior of the Volkswagen T-Cross. And I have to say, my first impression getting in here is that they've really upped the standard in terms of the interior quality. If you go watch our original review, which was like 4 and a bit years ago, one of Matt's original critiques of this car was the excessive use of hard, scratchy black plastics all around the interior. And you'll be happy to know that pretty much all of that up on the dash has been replaced with nice, soft soft touch materials. Unfortunately, you still do get some hard, scratchy black plastics around the place, but this isn't a multi-$100,000 Volkswagen R product. This is pretty much an entry-level product, so you can expect that. But you'll be happy to know that most of the areas that you touch frequently, including this center armrest, are nice and soft and quality feeling materials. There's also been some pretty major tech overhauls in multiple ways. So on the style trim and above, you do get a larger infotainment display. It is super snappy, super responsive, color accurate. You get built-in satellite navigation, and you get Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless as well, which is good to see. You also get a 15-watt wireless charger as standard across the range. So that's really awesome to see. And now standard as well across the range. I think I'm going to be saying that a lot today, guys, because pretty much the Life gets most of the interior changes as well, which is why I would probably recommend that over most of the other trims. You do get digital cockpit now standard across the range. The Style does get the digital cockpit Pro, which gives you a few more customizability options. It looks a little bit nicer, but really you're not going to be missing out much if you go for the Life trim in terms of the driver's display. Now, one of the areas that Volkswagen just does such an amazing job, in my opinion, is the quality of their steering wheels. So you'll be happy to know that this is absolutely no exception. It's a beautiful leather wrapped unit across the range. Again, I'm going to say it, across the range, you get this steering wheel. And another amazing change, because Volkswagen have actually listened to customers, is they've gotten rid of those stupid touch controls on the steering wheel that you always hit by accident when you're corner carving and you change the song and then it just destroys your rhythm. You guys know what I'm talking about. But those days are over. You get physical controls now on the steering wheel. Amazing to see it. Unfortunately, you still do get some touch controls on the climate controls, but that's not a big deal. It works fine for me. On the Life, you do get physical climate controls, so that's very nice. In terms of practicality, that is another area which this car definitely excels at. You get some of the biggest door bins I've ever seen, not just in small SUVs, but in any SUV, frankly. You get a pretty decent center console storage space and a pretty decent glove box as well, though the space is eaten into a little bit by where the old CD player would have been. You also get a couple of cup holders, and before I forget, check this out. You get a storage area under the seat. That is super cool and something that you pretty much never see in cars, so that's a really cool inclusion. And I think in terms of packaging for this car, Volkswagen have absolutely nailed it, just because they've managed to fit so much storage space in such a small package. Another change on the style trim is you do get these new cloth seats. They are extremely comfortable and they do have leather wrap on the outskirts. The R-Line does get beautiful Alcantara seats as well, so that is a very nice upgrade. Whereas the Life trim gets cloth seats. However, I was driving in them for like probably 3 hours earlier today and it was genuinely very comfortable. The only thing you miss out on is lumbar support. One thing to note is you do get a reversing camera. It's pretty decent, definitely nothing to write home about. However, there is a lack of any surround camera system. And with the focus being so heavily on safety, I would have thought that there would have probably been an inclusion for a surround camera system, at least on the style trim or the R-Line. However, that is unfortunately missing. But you do get full surround parking sensors, so that is good. In terms of connectivity, it is actually excellent. You do get 2 USB-C ports there, which can be used to connect Apple CarPlay if you'd like. And you also get a 12-volt socket down here as well. Another cool inclusion, I'm so happy they have this, is you actually get a manual handbrake. And not just that, it's also a beautiful leather-wrapped handbrake, so it feels very nice. And you get this really cool, I don't know if it's really cool, but it is traditional gear shifter, which you can shift across into manual mode and just carve up those corners like nobody's business. Let's check out the back seats. Alrighty guys, so coming to the back seats of the T-Cross, and I have to say, it is a very good story back here. You get a crap ton of legroom, honestly a freaky amount of toe room. I can do whatever I want with my little feet down there, and I get a huge amount of headroom as well. So space back here is absolutely fine. You can fit 4 adults with ease, probably even 5 adults if you get your least favorite one in the middle there. As far as amenities back here, it's not bad. You do get a couple of USB-C ports and a small storage area there. However, unfortunately, no air vents in the back here, which is a bit of a shame. And I will also point out that, yeah, the quality does take a little bit of a miss in the back here, but that is kind of to be expected. You do get a couple of matte pockets though, which are nice. And the seats are also very, very nice and very supportive. So no complaints from the back here. And I will show you a really cool feature of the T-Cross that I really like. If I pull this lever in the middle here, this can actually slide forward and back. And if I slide it forward, I can then pull this lever and I can recline the rear seats, but they don't lock into place. So if you go forward, they're not reclined anymore. But still, you can recline it if you want. It's just not supported by Volkswagen. So that's a really cool feature, really smart packaging, and allows you to get some more space in the boot if you need. So obviously, practicality being the name of the game for the T-Cross, it's done a good job. You know what else has done a good job? Us. carsauce.com/buy. If you guys are interested in buying any new car on the market, head to carsauce.com/buy. We have a dealership network of thousands across the nation, and we will make them fight against each other to get you the best price on your next car. The best part is it's completely free for you because we charge the dealers a fixed fee, which means they're going to give you the best price no matter what. So if you're in the market for a new Volkswagen T-Cross or any new car, head to carsauce.com/buy. It's time to drive the new T-Cross. So we're driving the new T-Cross. Specifically, I'm sitting in the Life Spec, which if you haven't figured by now is probably my pick of the bunch, to be honest. But across the range, you actually get a 1-liter 3-cylinder turbo petrol engine. That's right, it's exactly the same engine that you got in the previous pre-update model. But that is definitely not a bad thing because efficiency is the name of the game with the T-Cross. So what that means is the engine is definitely not the most powerful in the world. It makes 85 kilowatts of power, 200 Newton meters of torque. So it's actually quite a torquey 3-cylinder engine, which means that you can actually have quite a bit of fun with this car as I plant it through the Brizzy streets. Try not to rack up a speeding fine on this Volkswagen launch. So the engine is mated to a 7-speed dual clutch DSG transmission. I wouldn't say it's my favorite transmission in the world, but it definitely gets the job done. It does suffer from a little bit of sluggishness around town though. But like I said, efficiency is the name of the game, so it's not the end of the world in this T-Cross. So yeah, you should expect to see about 5.6 liters per 100 kilometers. What else is new for this updated version of the T-Cross? Well, now standard across the range, you actually get a whole suite of safety inclusions. That includes Volkswagen's travel assist, adaptive cruise control, rear cross traffic alert, and a whole range of other safety inclusions that you used to only get on the higher spec models, or included in one of the option packs, which Volkswagen have now done away with. So I think that's actually a very big positive for this new T-Cross, especially if you compare it to other models in this segment, things like the Mazda CX-3, the Hyundai Venue, which don't get as many safety systems as standard. So yeah, I would say that is a very good inclusion as we come up to a red light, of course. I think I'm getting every single red in Brizzy today. So as we're stopped at the traffic lights, I'll just quickly take you guys through comfort. I am sitting on 16-inch wheels, which are standard for the Life trim, which is the base model. If you step up to the style, you do get 17-inch alloys, and the R-Line does get 18-inch, really cool machine sporty alloys. I did drive the style from the airport to the hotel yesterday, and I have to say that I haven't really noticed much of a difference between the 16s and the 17s. So I think either way you go, you're gonna be pretty good in terms of comfort. And then on to probably the least important, but to me, the most important aspect of this car is how are its dynamics. And one of the cool things about these really small crossover SUVs is that you have 4 wheels in 4 corners. And what that means is you actually get some pretty impressive handling dynamics. And as you would expect from a Volkswagen Group product, everything feels very well put together. It's very highly engineered, which means that yes, even though this car is built on the Polo platform, meaning it is a front-wheel drive car, you actually get tons of mechanical grip. And I would say for someone who might be a young driver looking to buy their first car, something like the T-Cross is actually a really good fit because it is just so sure-footed in the way it drives, especially in wet conditions and on, you know, not the best tires, the gitty tires. Having a car that drives like this will give you extra confidence on the road, along with, of course, all of that extra safety tech that is now included as standard in the range. So I think it's pretty clear who Volkswagen are targeting with the T-Cross. They are looking specifically for first car buyers and people looking to upgrade from the light and small vehicle classes, and who are potentially looking for more practicality than those cars. And I think that this updated T-Cross with all of its new safety tech really actually represents a pretty compelling offer. All right, I've just said a bunch of nice stuff about this car, but who the hell cares about efficiency, practicality and safety when you've got 200 Newton meters of pure German bratwurst at your fingertips? Actually, you know what? Into sport mode, manual mode. Oh baby, this thing's a torquey little animal. As I tear up these corners of Mount Glorious, a glorious, glorious place in a glorious state. Actually, the state where I was raised. If you guys didn't know, I'm a bit of a Brizzy boy, but oh my God, this thing's actually kind of fun, I'm not gonna lie. You know what? No wonder the average consumption on this thing over the last 1,000 kilometers is 7 liters per 100 kilometers. I was thinking, there's no way that can be right. This thing should be getting like in the mid 5s, low 6s, but there's a reason for that. It's because this thing can actually be a bit of fun. If you put it into sport mode, you start using these little paddle shifters and you start tearing up the corners of Mount Glorious. Unfortunately, you can't get the 110 TSI engine in the T-Cross. That is only available for the Skoda Kamiq, which we have also reviewed on the channel, and Matt frankly loves that car. In fact, 4 years ago, when we initially reviewed this car, back then the channel wasn't even called CarSauce, it was called Matt Brand Cars, and Matt said that the Skoda Kamiq was better than the Volkswagen T-Cross. So I wonder if that still stands up against the test of time. I guess we'll have to get one of these on loan and do a proper 1 week review of it, just like we do with all of our cars, and we'll see how it goes head to head against the Skoda Kamiq. It's funny, as I'm taking these corners, it's super easy to forget that this thing is a crossover SUV, and you can really feel those Volkswagen Polo underpinnings shining through. This thing actually handles pretty damn well. Oh my God, this is actually quite a steep downhill, but very fun little road. Who knew Brizzy had these bloody roads hidden from us? All right, I think we've got some actual proper roads coming up, so we're gonna test out the handling characteristics of the Volkswagen T-Cross. Just what every first car buyer really wants to know is how can it take corners at 150 miles an hour? No, I'm not speeding, don't worry. You know what, this thing is a lot of fun because you just feel like you can never really do anything wrong in this car. It's kind of hard to explain. I just think there's not enough power for you to really seriously go into a corner too quickly, and it just has so much mechanical grip that if you do, you can kind of pull yourself out. So what's my final thoughts? What do I think about the changes? What do I think about the price rise? Look, some people might argue that Volkswagen are kind of alienating certain customers, especially first car buyers, by increasing the price. But I actually think the reality is quite different. I think the first car buyer who's in the market for a brand new car is actually quite particular about the tech that they want included. And I think that Volkswagen, by positioning itself as being pretty much a segment leader, at least for this price, in terms of safety equipment, in terms of practicality, in terms of packaging and what you get and the driving experience in this car, I think $34,990 for this life spec drive away, keep in mind, is actually pretty good value if you consider the fact that most of what you get in this car used to be part of a $2,000 option pack. If you do step up to the style trim, you are going to get some extra niceties on the interior. You're gonna get a couple of extra stylish cues on the exterior, but it's not gonna really overall change the driving experience that much. You do get a couple of little bits of extra tech here and there, but so I think that'll be mostly personal preference on if you think things like the 17-inch wheels and the extra light bar at the front and rear really make it worth it for that extra few grand for the style trim. But let me know what you guys think about the new updated T-Cross. Do you love it? Do you hate it? What do you think about it compared to the Skoda Kamiq, its Scandinavian cousin? And as always, if you're not subscribed, make sure you subscribe because we've got heaps more of these car launches coming your way as I make my way up this incredible Mount Glorious pass. If you guys are interested in buying any new car, we have an absolutely massive dealership network across the nation. So just go to carsauce.com/buy and check it out. All right, guys, ciao for now.